So, the new 14-inch MacBook Pros have just been released a few weeks ago, and while they're amazing machines, they cost upwards of $2,000 USD, which is a little bit on the exorbitant side for a lot of people. However, you can get an almost identical powerhouse experience for significantly less by buying a used or refurbished example from the 2021 lineup. I've personally been using this 2021 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro chipset and 16 gigs of RAM for around a year now, and in the 18 years I've been on this planet, it's been one of the best investments I've ever made. And so let's take a look at how each aspect of it has held up over the past year, and whether it's worth a look on the used market over the new lineup to save a few $100. And as always, timestamps are in the description if you'd like to see something specific. So starting off with the design, this MacBook was actually a complete redesign from its predecessor, and the 2023 model is literally the exact same thing. Same shell, same screen, same keyboard, same trackpad. The only difference comes with the internals. Over the year I've owned it, it's not had much wear at all, just this microscopic chip here, and this tiny scratch at the bottom of the screen, which I don't know how it got there. But this is a terrific MacBook design. It added this gorgeous new roundish flat theme, and implemented the notch from the iPhone into the much larger display, but also small things like this new black keyboard backing, the removal of the touch bar, which I'll get to later, the words MacBook Pro engraved into the bottom, and these absolutely massive rubber feet. But most importantly, it brought back the ports that we all dearly missed. We get two USB-C connectors, headphone jack and MagSafe on the left, and then on the right, an SD card slot, another USB port, and HDMI. So no more adapters, although it would have been nice if they added back at least one USB-A port. I know it's getting a bit ancient, but plenty of people still use it, including myself. Also notably, they also added back the beloved MagSafe charger, which was last seen in 2017, and it's just so seamless to connect over USB-C, and if you trip over your charging cord, you're not tripping over nearly $2,000. Plus, the MagSafe charger also has this really nice braided material on the cord. Nice touch. And of course, being a MacBook, it just feels so incredibly solid and robust in the hand in a way that other brands have just not been able to pull off. However, it is worth noting that because of these ports, it's definitely not in the league of thin, or light for that matter. It's pretty hefty compared to its predecessor, with a screen size of 14.2 inches, weight of 1.61 kilograms, and a thickness of 0.61 inches. So if you're going to be carrying it around a lot, then make sure you don't put too much other stuff in your backpack, because it can become a bit tedious to carry after a while, but it's worth it for the ports. All in all, Apple did a terrific job with this design. It fixed a lot of the dated aspects of the previous gen, especially the bezels around the display, although if you're looking for something that's a bit more on the portable side, you will feel the heft. But speaking of the display, this is easily one of the best laptop displays you can have. It's a 14.2-inch 120Hz mini LED panel with a resolution of 3024 by 1964, along with a pixel density of 254 pixels per inch and peak brightness of 1600 nits. Now, in case these numbers mean nothing to you, these are top-end specs, incredibly sharp, no visible pixels, it's buttery smooth with that high refresh rate, and the colors are pinpoint accurate. Perfect for anyone who needs to see what they're doing in the most accurate way possible. Plus, it's extremely immersive due to the shrunken down bezels, and even though the lid is basically the same size as the previous generation MacBook Pro, the small bezels just make it worlds more immersive, so you're getting an extra inch of display, and it just looks so much more modern and refreshed as well. Now, if you find the 14-inch model to be just too small, there is the 16-inch one, but 14 is perfectly enough screen for most people. Also, the new at the time 120Hz refresh rate makes everything buttery smooth. From navigating Final Cut timelines to scrolling through Word documents, literally every action is so much more responsive and pleasant, because basically the screen is now moving at 120 frames per second instead of 60 like on the old models. And trust me when I say that it makes a huge difference that you can't really go back from. Now, is it any kind of essential feature? No. But if you appreciate a good display, it's one of those things that just makes the experience that much better. Now, this display also made the switch from LCD backlighting to mini LED, which is a very similar thing to OLED in that the backlights are much smaller, so you're getting much deeper blacks. Not true blacks like OLED, but very, very close. Almost impossible to tell the difference, even in darkish lighting. Now, of course, while all these display upgrades are nice to have, they're not essential. Both MacBook Airs and the 13-inch MacBook Pro all have terrific high-end displays. They're just missing a few of the bells and whistles that set the two tiers apart, for those who really want or need the best of the best. I mean, this one literally ticks all the boxes. It's sharp, got top-notch color accuracy, is incredibly immersive, and has a high refresh rate. Although at some point, I guess I have to talk about that notch, so let's just get that out of the way. The notch is actually nowhere near as drastic as people have made it out to be, as it's in the menu bar, so unlike the iPhone, it actually doesn't impede on your content. Plus, if you use dark mode like a normal person, it actually camouflages into the darkness, and becomes pretty pretty much invisible, so really, it's fine. It's not nearly as tacky as it appears in online photos. And for those deep thinkers who are wondering, yes, the cursor does go behind it. Inside of the notch though, we get a 1080p webcam, which was upgraded from the previous generation's 720p lens, which lots of people were happy about. So this is a raw mic and webcam test on the 14-inch MacBook Pro, and this camera was actually an upgrade from the 720p on the previous generation up to 1080p on this one. And you know, there's a little bit of difference, you know, there's a little bit more detail and the exposure in the background is just a little bit better, but overall, you know, it's not going to be like an iPhone selfie camera quality, it's still a laptop webcam. But for things like video calling or just recording a quick video of yourself, you know, it more than does the job. The mics though are just absolutely incredible for a laptop. They're definitely studio quality like Apple said they were. Sorry, they don't sound at their best because this room is a little echoey, but you know, if you were a professional and you had to record something on the go and you didn't have your mic with you, you could definitely get away with using the mic on here. And in addition to that, the speakers on here are also top of the line for a laptop. They're crispy with great bass, and they're actually really good for listening to music with, so take a listen. Now before we get onto the keyboard on here, just a quick word from today's video sponsor, CaseKoo. Now you know how a lot of these clear phone cases start off looking super clean and shiny, and then after a few months just turn into this nasty yellow mess? Well, the benefit of a CaseKoo phone case is that it's made from a material called Crisgel, which reduces the molecular gap by an insane 1400 times compared to the standard TPU material that most cases are made from. So it compresses and stops the breeding of bacteria that grows inside your phone case and is responsible for turning it all gross and yellow. Plus, this also means absolute top-notch drop protection, and get this, you can remove your phone 30,000 times from it without weakening the structure. Also, the N52 magnet inside these cases is 7 times stronger than traditional magnets in other cases, so you're getting a much stronger magnetic connection between the phone and the case, which helps it to stay in. Plus, the stand is super stylish and sleek, it just clicks into the back. So if you're tired of phone cases always yellowing up and falling apart and just being crap quality, it's time to give CaseKoo a try. And what better time to do it than now, because if you use my discount code TECHSPREE or click the link in the description, you'll get 10% off your order, plus they're also hosting a Valentine's Day sale until the 23rd of Feb, which has so many offers and giveaways with amazing prizes, so definitely give that a look as well. Get your next phone case from CaseKoo and it'll be the last one you'll ever buy, at the link in the description below. And thank you CaseKoo for helping out my channel and sponsoring this video. So now, moving down to the keyboard on this Mac, it's pretty top notch. We've come a long way since ditching the butterfly keyboard in late 2019 in favor of this new Magic keyboard, really satisfying to type on with just the right amount of travel, noise and pressure sensitivity. Although I do wish the keys were ever so slightly closer together. I'm talking atomic lengths closer, but just a little nitpick I personally have. There's also a black backing underneath the keys, which was new on this model, and trust me, it looks far better in person than online. Plus the touch bar is also no more, it's been thrown to the curb in favor of full-size function keys, but if you're doing serious industry standard work on here, then traditional function keys are definitely the go, even if the touch bar did have its uses and looked pretty cool. Oh, and at the end of the function keys, there's a Touch ID scanner for logging in with your fingerprint, and as you'd expect, it works super fast, and you barely have to brush your finger past for it to be recognized. Yes, I do wish there was Face ID on here, but maybe we'll see that in the coming years. Now, the trackpad is also something I'm very happy with. It's got more than enough surface area, so you never run out of room, and being one of Apple's haptic trackpads, it's inarguably the best in the industry by a long shot. There's no physical button here, but a sensor underneath that vibrates when it detects pressure to simulate a click, and it's very realistic. A lot of people don't even realize this until they turn off their laptops and find it no longer works. Now the benefits of this are that you can press anywhere without it getting harder as you move up, like on the traditional trackpad, and the pressure sensitivity means you can interact in different ways. For example, you can hard press on a photo to preview it, or on a word to see its meaning. Like I said, Apple is the trackpad king, so I have no complaints with the one on here. But now that we've covered everything outside of the Mac, let's move inside and take a look at the performance. There's too many combinations of chipsets and RAM and SSD options to look into each one, but literally no matter what you go with, even the base model, you'll still get insane performance. Whether you're editing high-res footage in Final Cut while creating on Blender, or just browsing the web, there won't be any hiccups or overheating or anything like that. These Apple-designed chipsets are leagues and leagues ahead of previous Intel Macs and PCs. I know I'm stating the obvious here that a $2,000 laptop is blazingly amazingly fast, but the capabilities on these Apple Silicon Macs is completely next level. It blows all the Intel competition out of the water in terms of speed, ability to handle multiple tasks, and thermals. Of course, the new 2023 MacBook Pros have pushed the performance to even more exorbitant levels, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really get much better than on either 2021 or 2023 models. Even after 1 year, and after I've updated to macOS Ventura, I think Ventura actually made my Mac run slightly better. Now yes, it is nice to have top-of-the-line performance, but if intensive workloads and running 12 programs in the background isn't your game, then honestly, save your money and go with the 13-inch MacBook Pro or the M1 or M2 MacBook Air, because they still boast incredibly high-end performance, but just not absolute top-of-the-line performance. You'll still be able to run tons of things in the background and play quite a few games, but if you need the most power, then definitely look into a 14 or 16-inch model. The reason I personally went with this was because I do a lot of 4K video editing, hence YouTube, and I'll need the power for film school this year. But if I wasn't doing any of that, I would likely have gone with the 13-inch Pro. Now, when it comes to the longevity of the 2021 14-inch MacBook Pro, meaning how long you'll be able to use it for, I'm betting it'll get updates for another 7 or 8 years, and then most things should still support it for a few more years after that, so you could probably use it for literally up to a decade or so. Of course, I could be wrong, a decade is a pretty long time in terms of tech, but things nowadays seem to be lasting a lot longer, so I don't think it would be out of the question, but without Apple actually telling us how long things will last, it's hard to say for sure, considering that Macs usually get around 8 years of updates, and that this Mac only came out last year. Nonetheless, it's got a long life ahead of it, so whether you usually upgrade after a few years, or you use your Mac until its last breath, this one still has many years of good, solid performing use up its sleeve. And finally, touching on the battery life, it's still really good. I've found it's ever so slightly worse after upgrading to Ventura, plus it has degraded to 93% over the past year, which is a bit more than I would have liked it to, but I still get around 8 to 9 hours of screen time per charge, so it does last all day, and I can even edit 4K video for hours without needing to plug in. And you'll get even longer when just browsing the web or typing documents, all thanks to the efficiency of these Apple-made chips. No matter your use, you won't find yourself needing to reach for the charger very often. And so, with every nook and cranny of the 14-inch MacBook Pro now covered, I think it's pretty safe to say that this is 100% still a solid buy for those looking for a top-of-the-line laptop with the best features and power, but who would also appreciate saving a few $100s. Of course, buying used does have its issues, and it can be risky with something this expensive, and it can be hard to find the exact combination of storage and processors you want at a good price or nearby to you, and you're going to want to make sure everything's working good before you fork over your hard-earned cash. But if you can do that, then Bob's your uncle. Although, if you don't like buying used, or you want to avoid the hassle, or you really do want the latest and greatest in terms of performance, then a 2023 model is by all means worth considering. A second-hand 2021 model is recommended for those who want to save a little money. And keep in mind that these are not the laptops that most people should buy. It's only really suitable if you need the best of everything, for stuff like video editing or 3D animation. If you're more of a light user, meaning you just want to type documents, browse the web, and play games, again, you'd be much better off going for something like the 13-inch MacBook Pro or either MacBook Air. They're still high-end laptops, but you're missing out non-essential bells and whistles like the 120Hz display. So if you're not any kind of power user and you just want the best value for money, then the 13-inch MacBook Pro and the M1 and M2 MacBook Airs are still terrific deals. But all in all, my 14-inch MacBook Pro has held up darn well over the past year I've owned it. It's been a terrific video editing machine, and I plan to keep it for years and years to come. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you drop me a like and subscribe to TechSpree for more reviews, insights, and the occasional unboxing. Thank you so much for watching. This is Tom with TechSpree, and I'll see you as always next time.